Welcome back to the Football Exponential Show, and I'm Chika. I'm joined by Frank
Hi guys, welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the show.
and then Kingsley.
It's great to be in another episode of the show. Hi, guys.
Welcome.
Okay, let's go again. Are you guys ready?
Yes. What are we diving into today?
Okay, today we are talking about Spain.
Spain.
Okay, let's go. Yeah, in the last 18 months, Spain has won the Men's Nations League, Women's World Cup, Women's Nations League, Euro 2024, Olympic gold for men under 20, under 19 championship, that's European, women under 19 championship, European. So, Kingsley, this should be for you. What are they doing right or what are they doing better? Because that's a lot of success in 18 months, that's less than a year, and they're just winning and also they were eliminated in the semi-finals for the women, yeah, semi-finals for the women Olympic tournament. So, what are they really doing? Then also, Barcelona women team have won the Champions League, like is it for the straight two times or whatever? Like they are now the Leon of women football. So what do you think they are doing right or doing better than others?
Oh, absolutely. I think the Spanish Federation needs to have a proper upload for the success that they've had in recent times. But I think it all started with an overhaul, starting from the leadership level up to what we can see radiating to a lot of success in the team right now. Of course, there were some, for lack of better word, controversies around the leadership of the Spanish Football Federation, with some Spanish female footballers refusing to represent the country, and all of that changing in such a short period of time. And now you're seeing back-to-back medals. I think while you were listing the list as well, you can also see that there is also some impact that radiates across male and female football. So I think a lot of things have played into this kind of level of success. I think the Spanish football FA as well has been more open to immigrants, something that we've not seen a lot in the Spanish football as well. So I mean, if you go back to the level of success that they had at I think 2010, etc., when they were winning back-to-back titles with Euro and with World Cup success back then, you wouldn't see a lot of immigrants represented in the
Marcos
Spanish
Senna,
national team.
Marcos Senna, Marcos Senna, that was 2020.
Marcos
Who was
Senna
2000
didn't
the
even.
2006,
black
8.
Spanish player I ever saw in their national. I don't know whether they existed before him, but and he's Brazilian. That was the first black person, and he was continue for Villarreal.
Exactly. So exactly. So you see that it's very far in between. But right now, up the back of my mind, you can think of the Yamin Lamal. You can think of you can also think of players like Bernardo. You can
Bernardo,
also think of Ansu Fati, although he didn't represent them in any of those tournaments this season. You can also see the Samuel Odion.
Samuel
So
Odion.
yeah, exactly. So you see those players come through and you ask yourself what has really changed. You see that you might argue that other big giants in world football in terms of country or international tournaments such as France, England, etc. They also have those representation, but it's not something that we've always kind of linked to the Spanish national team. So there is that. But in addition to that, also it's also a very proud moment for most Barcelona fans or coolers because you can see that there's also a lot of football heritage coming up La Masia. And that is also something that is working well. By the way, it's not just La Masia for men because that is what a lot of people kind of focus to. But if you see the female success as well, it's heavily driven by Barcelona players representing the national team as well. So there is success coming through from that administrative overhaul, but also it is very synonymous to say that when La Masia is doing well, things ultimately cooking.
Okay, I know you must link La Masia to this. There's no way you would not. Frank, what do you think? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with just about everything Kingsley has spoken on. And now just to add a bit further, it's also important to talk about the identity of football and the philosophy of the Spanish football and how they try to make sure that identity comes through from the youth development to this youth teams and ultimately to the senior football in terms of how they pass the ball and how they pass control games in terms of movements. That technical level is always they appreciate and respect technical players in Spanish football. Not quite so in other places, like for if you compare and contrast to the English national team, where the English they've also found recent success in youth team level acts and the women's Lioness team as well, who are defending Euro champions. But they just can't quite crack it to the men's national team quite yet. But it comes down to how you see football, and there's no right way of playing football, but there should be a unique and an identifiable way of playing football that goes through the whole system, from the under 16s to under 17s to the under 19s, under 21s, and how they train even back to club academies, and how they train their players in the way of or style of football, where you see it's the style of football is it's the same all through Spanish football. The women's team, they all play the same way, keeping the ball. The under 16, under 19s, even the Olympic team that was assembled just for this tournament, they still have that. You can still see the identity in terms of how they style of play and what they value in terms of player personnel and in terms of coaching. And I think it's been brilliant so far because it's testament to what football development is all about. Getting players in and training them all through the system so they can then transfer their skills into the higher levels of football from the youth academy to the senior teams. Like La Masia has been a very strong reference point for Spanish football, women's, and under 21s football as well, where the players they produce, the philosophy of how they play is very clear for all to see, and it's something we should all most countries should all in a way emulate and not just copy unless okay, Spanish football they keep the ball. Let's try and keep the ball. But what makes your country unique? Like the Brazilians they have their own brand of football where it's all flair, the samba style, as they say. But what makes English football special? It's that question is very there are a lot of answers to that question. So in terms of from an England perspective, is how do you emulate that kind of success? And from a Spanish point of view, is how do you push that kind of success? Okay, how do you then, with the help of immigration, how do we then find younger players coming through the academies, bring them through, train them, likes of Yamal, Nico Williams as well, and you ultimately get the best. You increase the player pool, and you get the best of what your country has to offer.
Okay, this is me, right? I I I I applaud them and I like what they are doing. It's not coincidence. You can't win all these titles in 18 months and if you even look so many of them, they've been dominating in many of them. This Barcelona has always won the Champions League. Like the beat it was like they've been doing it. So it's not coincidence. Now, but what I'm trying to say, why I feel indifferent to you guys is that I feel that other people could have done it, but it's just that these guys are more clinical. This is two countries I feel could have the same success with Spain. Two countries that always comes to my mind is France and England. Now, look at what Spain has done. Look at Yamal, look at Benabe, look at so many players. Look at Balde on the other side. The English guys and the French guys have been nationalizing people way back. Like John Tiagana is from Mali, originally from Mali, but he played. That was in the 80s. There's so many people. Was it John Baines was the first black person or whatever that played for
John
England or
Barnes,
so,
yeah, yes, yeah,
captain or whatever. So
first
they've
England
been doing
captain.
it, but they've not been successfully doing it. Look, the Spanish people have come and they've taken over. So especially for France, this is the problem I have is that France could also dominate the same way the Spanish people have dominated. Because when you check out the players also, is even France even produces more young players to sign than the Spanish, not academy players, I mean after the academy 22, 23. Spain has more academy players, I understand that, but I think they get lost or something like that towards the end. But France has like the likes of Chouameni, the likes of Ugochukwu at Chelsea, or maybe they have more publicity than the Spanish national team. Maybe that's another point. But I'm saying that they could have done that. But I think the problem the French people have is that I think the coaching is. I can't remember a popular French coach
There's
recently.
no there's
I
there's no
Garcia
coach.
was the last person. There's no coaching, and then Deschamps has been there for ages. There's no innovation. I don't know. The academy is working well, and they are very physical, but the coaching it leaves
There's
a
no
lot to be
identity.
like.
There's no
So
coaching.
if I'm France, I'm asking myself question. I can match these guys. I have the resources. I have the talent. I have the child. I have the population. I can match these guys. So what are they doing? Can I do better? If I'm Germany also. I'm looking at for so long now. Germany has not been doing well with the academy player. I don't know what is wrong. They've not been producing talent like they've been producing before. But to me, that tells you that the Spanish people are ruthless. Once they see an advantage, they take it to the end. They don't let it go because they did the same thing and in the last time with the Cesc Fabregas. And this is funny enough. Growing up. I didn't see France as a big football. I didn't see Spain as a big footballing team. I was laughing at because they always go out. If you look from 82 to 1990 to even USA 94 to 1998, they went out in the first round in 1998, France 98 to Germany 2006. Where did they go out in Germany
I
2006? And they
think
went out to France in the quarterfinal. They never made it to the end, no matter the players they had. But now, man, they're taking everybody by storm. They're taking
and
every so
and
they're doing well.
and I think it's also
Something else to add to that is that I feel like the Spanish FA have been very clever in recent times, and this is what I think. Because it's good to have a unified way you want to play football and represent that unity across all spectrum. And what do I mean by that? The Olympic team is usually a quick match and fix when you go in there, right? It's not like there's extensive training or you expect so much chemistry, but because they've always had a way that they want the Spanish football, the brand that they sell, and
The
it's been
players.
very in tune with what happens in La Masia or Barcelona. So there's that additional filter that comes through because there's quality through that. There's that litmus test that has already happened that a lot of national teams don't have. Say, for example, in French football today, what would you consider to be that litmus test? And why the female France team did very well in a few years ago was because Olympic Lyon was
So,
doing that litmus test
yeah,
for
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Right. So, and then if you think about it, why England is struggling today, what club football is doing that litmus test for them? You can't really place it. So,
I don't think
um,
the French have identity.
uh,
It's now you just see it's just physicality, pace, and trickery. They are good on that.
Exactly, but again, then there's also something that the Spanish national team have added in recent times. So you can argue that in the last couple of years they would always play tiki-taka, they would always hold on to the ball, they would always be a little bit more methodological in their passing and all of that. But if you look at the Spanish Euros men's national team, you would see that there was quick transition. This was something that didn't happen before. They played more, they played the football to the flank, the transition from the flank, and then they allowed technically gifted players to arrive at the box in good time. And that's exactly what is happening in the Olympics team as well. They allowed the technical players to arrive at the box at the right time. There was no difference what Femi Lopez is doing for the Olympics team and what Daniel Olmo did for the Euro team. Now, another thing that I feel like has happened, I feel like Spanish FA has gone back in recent time and looked at what didn't we do correctly. Last tournament, they had Pedri play a gazillion number of football. We almost lost track. But this season, this time around, they've been clever with it. They'll be like, oh, Femi Lopez will join the Euro squad, but they made him understand you would not play a lot of football. Paul Kubasi, you are great. You can make the Euro men's national team, but we would rather have you go represent the country on Olympics level. So they spread the talent evenly and then they allow the talent to build upon what the same foundations are. You don't see that, like um, for example, the French national team took their best foot forward in Euros. They left nothing behind. I mean, you can argue that they have quality team in Olympics just because
To
they have.
me, I mean, because I know the French players more.
Mhm. They
Yeah,
have quality. They have quality throughout that team, but what they don't have is consistency. They don't have exposure. I mean, Femi Lopez sitting on that Olympics team can easily say, "This is what worked well for the Euros team that I just came off now. Let's replicate it." You have that consistency across board without killing yourself in excessive minutes, right? And I feel like there's now more coherence with La Masia. the Spanish football and how players' utilization comes about, right? So, like, I mean, otherwise you would have your best talents miss important tournaments because of injuries or because of fitness issues. And that is something that I feel like the Spanish FA has addressed on the side as well. So those are some of the things that I think may have worked well for them.
It is very harmonized. And as you were talking, I just thought about something like you're 100% right. Do you know, I don't see any difference with the French league and the French FA. In the English league, for example, the coach is saying something different, and the national team, I'm like, it's the same thing. Like, I understand the coaches are different, but you have to work together. And also, there's something that you said I thought about in the Spanish La Liga. Almost all the teams play the same. Real Sociedad, there are some Osasuna, I remember, used to be very different. They
Hmm.
be very physical. Is it
Hmm.
Pamplona or whatever in their
Yeah,
home state?
Pamplona had
They,
physical football. Yeah,
they're
also
the
Arsenal.
English team of then Atletico Bilbao at the point also when they had Valverde and Bielsa. But that then Sevilla used to be. But even at that, most of the teams for Real Sociedad, even Genoa, and it plays into Barcelona hands because they want to match them the same system. It's different from the Premiership where you have Stoke City playing entirely different. So somehow it's different. I get what you're trying to say. It's more harmonized. The FA and the club they work together, so they pick these players. It's easier. It's easier. It's not like that in the French national team. But if I the French, the English, and the French, the English, and the Germans, if I'm them, I'm looking at myself. Whatever these guys are doing, I can do very very well. The Portuguese have always nationalized. What's his name? The guy from Mozambique.
Subio.
The strike. The Mamba. Yeah, he's from Mozambique. I see so many players. Even the Chelsea player. Moreira, whatever, what's his name? Moreira, the one they bought from Benfica, the winger. I found out yesterday that his father also was born in Guinea-Bissau, but he played for the Portuguese, something like under 17 or something like that. So they've always been nationalizing people far back as so many years. Thanks. Do you have
Um,
anything?
yeah, I think I also add one important point in all this is it's once you've found the players, you've developed the players. It's also another important part of football development is integration into senior football, and it's the pathways they have in Spanish football where players like Yamal, Kubasis, Pedri, Gavis, they play senior minutes in La Liga for Barcelona, and they play for Atletico Bilbao as well. They have players like Nico Williams, who's come through the team, playing first 10 minutes for them, and Sociedad as well. That's another very good team where you see midfielder Ruby Zubamendi, who came on at halftime in the Euros finals. He came on slot into the Spanish national team.
The
They don't
system they
miss
play.
they don't miss a beat because he's played Champions League football at Sociedad. He's played senior minutes in La Liga for a few years now. So and I think it's another part where until recently, English football has been left behind. We're slacking on in terms of having the best young players and bringing them into the first team quickly enough. And
They are doing it now.
they're improving slowly and trusting them with minutes like the likes of Kobe Mano, Cole Palmer. It took Foden a while to get to Man City's first team. Saka's broken into Arsenal's first team just straight from the academy. But in the past, players like um, Callum Hudson-Odoi couldn't really make an impact in Chelsea's first team and the likes of those kind of players.
Nathaniel Chaluba never even
Exactly,
played.
exactly, and these are players that were fantastic at youth level, likes of Chaloba, Daniel Sturridge when Sturridge was young, players like Nathan Delafonso, all these there's a host of players who made big impacts at youth football, but they didn't quite get the right amount of minutes at senior English level football.
But funny enough, do you know the Spanish people are so good and so stacked that Spain is the only country with France that they can take this whole Olympic team, go and get another team again. Because if you check at the clubs, they have young players so much.
Well, they're
France is
scattered.
also like that. Monaco has like if you check France, but England is not like that. England, you have to go maybe to the championship to start getting this player. But France in the Spanish La Liga, you have lots of young players.
Yeah,
Atletico Bilbao, they can always come and they play telepathically. They know each other, so it's a very good.
exactly. So it's a culture. It's a culture where you come through the academy. The academy plays the same style as the senior team. You go into national teams, the national teams play the same style as your club football. So it's an easy transition for players to master this type of football in terms of control. And it's also important to state in terms of controlling games and controlling the football. mastery of the football. It's an art I think the Spanish have
And,
mastered
and
perfectly.
the last one, if you remember, when I saw Cucurella called up, I asked you, I said, hold on, does it mean all the clubs in La Liga don't have a better left back to Cucurella? Not that I'm not saying he's not good
Yeah,
enough, I'm
exactly. Yeah,
just,
exactly.
but I was
Yeah,
surprised, like, because the way people malign him. And that's what he told me. He told me, no, the coach who is the coach of Spanish national team coached him at the under 20, whether 23 or 21 or
he
whatever.
knows him.
I
He
said,
knows him.
that means he knows him. So there's a
Yeah.
continuity. He's not thinking, oh, forget about whoever. You might be better, but I know this guy. I know what he gives me. He just brought it. So there's a continuity, and that's
Exactly.
important. Yeah.
Again,
Kingsley.
again, Cucurella's impact on the national team was there. You can argue Cucurella has the La Masia DNA. He understands what to come in there and provide to the
Massa,
team. Yeah,
it's nothing
yes,
like
Is
Cucurella
yes
was the Barcelona
is
player.
La
Yes,
Masia.
yes, he's La
uh,
Masia. So he comes in there. He understands the expectation from the national team as well. But something to add that people almost sleep on when they talk of the Spanish national team is that more than 95% of that squad play their football in Spain. Would you say the same with French national team players? No, they're diverse, they're
no.
scattered everywhere.
No,
And
but
would you say that the English national team don't have that mix as well? They do have it because majority of the English national team play their football in England. But is the
but a
football
few.
a unified football? Not
No, it's
really.
not. No, it's not. No, it's not.
But so the thing is that is where I feel like that marriage happened in Spain, where you have consistent experience coming through the link ups in the league football, as well as consistency coming through the expectation from the Spanish FA. And now the emphasis is based on technicality. You cannot make it in La Liga if you're not a technically gifted footballer, right? And that is what they leverage from you. So the expectation is clear. So when these footballers play, they play with the ability to learn those few critical skills as compared to, and then it also goes back in time. If you think about it, even though the Dutch national team were underachievers for most part of it, but when they had total football running madness in the history of football, they had the core on technicality, players who play first in their head before it comes out on the pitch. So that level of identity again is big, but also playing in the same competition, playing with that understanding, playing with that, it allows you as a national team to replicate the same formula over and over again. And every player that comes in and out of that football is just one piece of the or one piece in the plan that allows you to easily navigate when there are critical injuries to main players. So it's something that I feel worked in favor of the Spanish national team. And I'm not just saying the men national team, it happens also with the female national team. And most of those players who lifted the female Euros were all, very heavily linked to Barcelona again. And they also played most of their football in the Spanish league.
Okay. So let's go to the next one. Uh, Kingsley, this is also for you. Could the success of Spain be attributed? I know we've said certain things, but let's add more context a bit. Could the success of Spain be attributed a whole lot to La Masia? Then this is some important facts. 9 Olympic champions, that's the under 23 that played the Olympics, came through La Masia. 9. 8 were part of the first 11. That's a lot. Out of 11 players, 8 is attributed to one club. That's a lot. Kobasi at 17 was the bedrock of the Barcelona defense. I saw him against was PSG. I was like, the calmness is good. I expected the same thing for Arojo though, but he disappointed me. Benabe providing an assist. Then Camelo came off the bench to score a brace to win the game. These are all La Masia players. Then Fermin Lopez, the love story. He came from grass to grace. That's from third division all the way to Olympic gold in a year. So, what do you think? What do you think is the contribution of La Masia? Do you, as regards the success of them?
I would say it's very, very related, very linked, and there are a few things I would like to call out here. Even La Masia as a footballing institution have been evolving in the last couple of years. If you ask me 10 years ago, would Femi Lopez make it out of La Masia? I'll tell you no. He's not the typical La Masia kind of footballer in the sense that we want control in La Masia, we want calmness on the ball, we want more on passing range, etc. If you were to make it as a midfielder in La Masia. I mean, um, ironically, if you look at Pablo Torre, which is not a La Masia product, but is also in the Barcelona mix right now. He's more of a La Masia kind of player than Femi Lopez. In recent time, would compare Femi Lopez to the likes of, I mean, I might be overemphasizing at this point. It might be my Barca DNA going too quickly right now. But I would think of Femi Lopez and I would think this is the best thing we can get after De Bruyne. Why do I say that? He's a midfielder that has almost everything. He can complete
Is
an
it center
attacking finish.
midfielder? It doesn't play in the center.
You, Femi Lopez will play anywhere you ask him to play on the
That's
pitch.
high
That
praise
is one
for.
thing. That is one thing that he has, and you can. This
Well,
is a
it
player that in
determines
his
how
first,
he
in
plays.
his, is not that young. I think he's about 21 or 22. He's not a kid if you
Okay.
think about it, and it's so funny how we say 21, 22 is not that young, but. He was cast aside at some point out of La Liga, out of La Masia. He was cast aside. He wasn't given a clear plan as to how to make it into that national team, and he was sent out on loan, and he came back and improved his value. And you saying that he's high praise when I compare him to De Bruyne, you might be true. Your comment might be true, but we need to figure that out in a couple of footballing years. But this is a player that can arrive at the box at critical moments, who takes chances, who scores in every caliber of game. He started his scoring run with Real Madrid in the preseason, and he's doing the same thing for Spain's Olympic national team in a gold medal final. And what else do you need this guy to do to prove? He's a player that came off with 8 goals in his first season in senior Barcelona team. Yes, and he's playing
It
this
goes.
as a midfielder. So looking at all of these things, my question is, how do you say Spanish football and you do not say La Masia? We're going to talk about female football as well. Outgoing Ballon d'Or, La Masia. The one that's taken. We actually do have the Queen
But
and the
how did they take
Princess.
over female football? It used to be young. I just, it used to
This is again going back to strategy. This is a team that conquered everything in front of them last season and conquered it comfortably, right? Now, the question mark is, why is this not happening to the Barcelona men's team? And that is why I'm telling you that I'm very optimistic based on the previous conversations that we've had before, that the men's team would overly pick it up as well. But that is a conversation for another day. Sticking to the topic, La
be.
Masia Spanish football is bread and butter. The time when the Spanish football is on drought, they've decided to do some experiments, bringing the Real Madrids, the Atletico Madrids, and all of that into the national team. We saw how it ended, and now they're going back to the root a little bit. We can see where it's headed. So, it is a very, very, very symbolic thing in Spanish football. I agree or not, I'm very sure I'm very sure right now the head of the La Liga football. I don't want to call names, but he's not going to be very excited to see how much impact La Masia is doing in the Spanish national team. But it is very, very, very linked. We're making a lot of success right now, and we would continue to do that, except except he decides to prioritize his lack of love to the success of the national team, and thankfully he's not having a lot of decisions to make on the Spanish national football.
Okay.
So to your question, 9 Olympic champions, La Masia. Back-to-back Women Champions League winners, La Masia. Euro men, critical part of the team, La Masia. Women Euros, La Masia. Tell me, what is
So,
not La Masia about the Spanish
so, so
national team?
you're, so you're effectively saying Spanish football in the entirety of Spanish football would not be as successful without La Masia. Is that what
I,
you're
I
saying?
say that I say that without a doubt.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
And
fine.
I think it's also let's not forget because I think we tend to forget the amount of success they achieved back in 2008, 2012, and 2010 international tournaments with the likes of Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, Puyol. They were all La Messi as well. So I think I think Spanish success has a lot to thank towards La Masia Academy, and I think it's a way people should study, appreciate, and see what they do right in terms of other footballing FAs and footballing infrastructures of how to get the right players, not just players but get the right players to play the right way. And you play the right way all through your footballing development. And then you then transfer into the senior team because to compare to the English, for example, is the amount of or the shortage of good English managers, for example. There are not enough English managers. Where you see, like in La Liga, there's a good percentage of out of 20 clubs, there's a good percentage of Spanish coaches. In same in Italian football as well. But in England, there's that disconnect. So it's that's where it gets challenging in terms of this. You don't have a unifying or a uniform way of playing, and everybody plays. So the way Chelsea play, the likes of Gallagher and Cole Palmer is different from the way Elfie Foden plays, or the way Adrian Bellingham plays in Real Madrid. There's no unified systemic style of play, and that's not to say one way is wrong or one way is better of playing, but there's no. And it's also it's not a coincidence with the Spanish Olympic team where they get all these players who've played in La Masia for years together. They come in with that connectivity, that team chemistry, and that also breeds on the pitch. You can see it. They understand each other. They understand how everyone plays, the movements, the touch, and that's all those little elements also adds to a good successful side in international football as well.
Okay. That should be all for us today. That should be all for us today. And Frank, you have anything to say to our audience?
Thank you for tuning in again. And if you like what you watch and what you're listening to, can you kindly hit the like button below?
Yeah, thank you. Cancel one of you.
Yes, please do hit the subscribe button as well if you enjoy the content. And also remember, La Masia is the right football way.
Thank you. See you next time.
See you. Bye. Bye, guys.